Hey everybody, welcome back to Das Lab. Something kind of different again. It's an experiment. I'm making something. I made these knobs, these wooden knobs for a panel. It had the like a bolt coming through there, and these were just to hold this big wooden panel into position. And I made these a couple years ago out of wood, and they're okay, but they're starting to crack. And it was just a proof of concept to see if Mrs. Das Lab would like it. I want to make them out of plastic because they're already starting to crack. And a little bit of a design flaw on these. They're nice. What we have right now is wing nuts on there. They work. They don't look that good, and they're a little bit finicky to get off. Got to get in there about 2 or 3 times a year into this panel. Anyhow, the design flaw is that when they were resting flat on the panel, so they would basically put a big swirl mark in there, and they're tough. I want to make a little bit of a profile so they'll be dished and basically kind of look like this, where the bolt is raised out. And I also want to get the bolt more securely fastened in there. As you can see, sorry, not the bolt, the nut. As you can see, the nut's falling out of half of them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be using plastic. I'm going to make them out of plastic, and I'm going to melt down some of this HDPE, high density polyethylene. It's got the recycle symbol 2 on there. Quite commonly they're caps. I think I got a couple of other old bottles and stuff in there. A little mixture of colors that I've assembled and diverted away from the recycling bin for the last little while. And what I'm going to do is use this. It's almost the right size. Okay. I mean, the can is going to be the right size. These are a little bit big. They're not to any design spec or anything like that. And I'm going to actually sand one of these down. And I'm going to use a torch. I'm going to melt it. I will press the plastic down, and I'll make a cylinder of which I can then cut this apart, pull my plastic block out, and then start machining or doing my forming to get some nice little handles on these plastic things. So that's what we're doing. Taking old HDPE plastic and making stuff out of it. Okay, next I'm gonna cut this down to size so that I can use that as a block to press and squish all my HDPE together as I melt it. Over to the bandsaw, over to the sanding machine, over to you. Yeah, so I just sanded them down, and now they'll fit in there. I got a couple of them made. So I can use my press over here. Can you see the press? Can I impress this upon you? And I'll heat it up and then squish them down into there. Okay, we're going to just start off by putting some of the plastic in here and seeing how it melts. Now it's not going to go like liquid. It's going to go like the consistency of like margarine or something like that. And of course, we don't want to have a fire. I got a couple of safety things here just in case. Now a lot of people will do this like in an oven or something like that. I think the plastic liner is being melted off. Here's the dog. Not my dog. He's just trying to heat this up evenly. What the goal is, we don't want any air pockets in there, so that it's got some sort of integrity. Yeah, the inside of the can, the liner on the inside of the can is melting. You know what? I wonder if the bottom of this can is soldered on. If I'm going to melt the solder, I got to be prepared in case the bottom falls out of this project. I'm going to turn you off. I'll come back once it's melted a bit more, because I think the smoke detector is about to go off too. Because this is going to take a while. See you in a bit. Still hot. and it's still a little bit soft and pliable, so still got some cooling to go. So there's my lid, Sid, and oh, you son of a... Like you dirty rotten. I wonder how good this really is for the environment. 2 propane bottles later and a couple of kilowatts of electricity. Still soft. Yeah. Hey. Hey. Sorry if you missed that. Not horrible. Oh, hot. Huh. So it needs to be cleaned up a little bit. But the bottom's got a nice texture to it. It's smooth like the bottom of the can. And what do I got there? Probably an inch thick. You know, once you get rid of all the shavings. Alright, well, the proof of concept's there. I just need a couple more cans, but I'm going to let this cool off a bit, and then we'll dress it up and see what we can do. Just looking ahead, this is going to go on the lathe at some point in time. And don't forget, I still got to get the... I still have to get a nut embedded in there somehow. I think I'm going to kind of drill my hole and extrude it in, and then cover it over. Alright, I'll let that cool off and see where we go from there. Okay, I trimmed it off a bit. Couple lessons to be learned here. First of all, the plastic on the inside of the can burned up and it looks like crap. So you might want to burn that off like in a procedure beforehand. We're going to probably sand most of that out anyways. And it's still damn hot, but it's kind of bumpy here. I'm going to just see if I can melt it down with the old heat gun and just push it into place a little bit better. Yeah, it sort of worked. There's a little bit of a divot here, like a hollow, and just wondering if I can melt some in there so I can actually use this piece, because that's about the size. Ow! That's about the size I'd want it for as a knob, but a little bit hollow there, and of course I'm going to be wanting to put the nut in there somewhere. So I want that, and I want it to stay. I want to make sure the integrity of the center is there, because that's where the fastening part's going to go. I'm just going to cut up some pieces here. Wherever there's a little bit of a hollow. Melt that in and push them in. Yeah. Yeah, it's flowing into itself. It's funny stuff. Okay. Well, I'm going to pretty much let that cool off, and then probably going to just dress it on the sander, just to get it closer to the shape that I want to be. What do I do with the extra pieces here? We go right back in the supply bin. Just melt it again some other time. All right, I'll figure out what I'm going to do next, and I'll bring you back. Okay, so off camera, I cleaned it up a little bit. It's nice and round. This side's still not flat at all. This side's still pretty good. I used the old center finder to find the center. And now I'm going to drill a hole, what is that, 1/4 inch probably, for the bolt. And I'm going to try to extrude it part of the way through with heat. Lots of colors. I wouldn't say that's in the center by any means, but anyhow, I look all the way through, and there's no gaps, no air gaps. So what my plan is I'm gonna put this on here like this. Take the nut that I want embedded on the crappy side. Get that thing red hot, or as hot as oops, sorry, you can't see. Get this hot. Okay, away from here, and then pull it through so that it gets embedded into the material. Then that nut will be locked in. I want to get it pretty far in because, if you recall, I'm going to look at that. You know what happened there? I had the crappy side down, and that is not a straight through hole. Huh, that's off on an angle. I should have had this side down on the drill bed here. Well, let's see if I can fix that up. Mistake. So that's the plan anyways. I'm going to see if that actually works. Pull it through, and hopefully it just melts in, and then I can leave it. If not, I might have to come up with another plan. All right, back to the vise. I gotta get it. It's gotta be below the outer surface. I think that's gonna work. Of course, I can clean up the excess in there, but I'm going to say that is embedded. I don't want to spin it because it'll just remote a cavity, but yeah. All right. Now that's gonna cool. Okay, I'm not sure how long it's been since I was last making these things. I'm trying to replicate these knobs, big knobs for a panel, and it's probably been 8 months since I was working on this. This was my first prototype sort of one, and I made that. I got another one in a tin can here, and today I just finished melting and trying to fill this can full of melted plastic by using the good old propane torch here. I thought of putting it in the barbecue and getting it up to 450 degrees Fahrenheit or something like that, or more, and just letting it melt in, but I don't know, the amount of fumes coming off here, I just didn't really want to contaminate my barbecue. So I'm going to cut this open, and we'll see what it looks like on the inside. And next week, see me throwing a rusty old hacksaw off the bridge. Eek. I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna clean this up. Pretty high density, but I'm sure there's some porosity left in it. Yeah. Well, next we're gonna go to the bandsaw. To the bandsaw mobile. I'm gonna try melting. I'm gonna try melting that with the blowtorch again. So that was the bottom of the can, and I am kind of surprised that because it was subjected to the heat the longest, that it did that. Had like the, you know, was melted properly. So maybe there's got to be another way of melting these for a more even heat all the way along. So there's the other one I just took out of this can, and you know, I'm gonna hopefully that'll fit in the lathe. I can chuck that up. Also, I was gonna do some smaller ones too. Okay, well, we'll let that cool. All right. In the meantime, while that's cooling, I got this set up in the 4-jaw. I'm gonna just move you back a little bit because it's the only one that had the reversible jaws on. I'm just gonna try to get a flat surface, and then I'm gonna flip it over and get a better bite on it, and then do something else with it. I was going to use carbide, but I figure high-speed steel should be good enough. I'm taking light cuts because I don't want it to fly off. Or when it does fly off, I don't want it to hurt. And that's as far as I can go right now. So I'm going to just continue doing this for a while. Yeah, so that's flat. I left the bump there. That's okay because I do want it to be off of the... when I screw it down, I don't want it tight against the board. There'd be a little knob there, a recess holding it off. Nice thing about this swarf, there's many advantages. It won't cut you. It's not red hot when it hits you. It doesn't wreck your ways, doesn't wreck your feed screw, and it's really colorful. Okay, I'll flip that around. Alright, so that's it. After I kind of chucked it up, squared it off, flipped it around, and I'm going to be cutting this, not using the parting tool, the bandsaw again, and just get these down to thicknesses. I need 4 of them, and I just love the colors. So the inside of the tin can had like a plastic coating on it that burnt and made it look real crappy, but once you get in and you know, take probably, I don't know, 20 thou off, you get the nice colors in there. I like the way it looks. So anyways, it's cleanup time for tonight, and I'll come back out and work on it again tomorrow. Alright, so I've parted off 4 of these discs, and I've left a little bit of a raised knob on the end. So again, when they're screwed into something, there's going to be a gap, so that I don't want the whole surface to be tight up against something, so there's a little offset there. What I'm going to do now is, or what I've started doing is, putting in a using a Forstner bit, a deeper hole to accommodate the nut that's going to get embedded in there. It's going to get slightly molded over, and I'm not going to go all the way through with the Forstner bit. I'm going to then go back through with a bit big enough to accommodate the was it 5/8, 3/8 bolt. Okay, and then the nut should be embedded in there. So I did a little test here, and that one seems to be about the right depth. Might actually be a little bit far, so I'm going to adjust my stop down a bit. I just reamed it a bit. Sorry. Yeah, I just reamed it out a bit, and now the bolt fits in there really nice. Okay, because these are going on to studs. Just to be clear, these are there's studs sticking out, and these are going to go onto the studs. So we need the nut embedded in there, and we need the stud to stick through well. Okay. Okay, so here's the plan. I'm going to try to get the nut nice and hot. Who doesn't like hot nuts? And then I'm going to pull it, the plastic onto it, and make sure the nut is melted in there nice and good. And yeah, that should be it. That's the theory, anyways. Okay, that's plenty hot. Now I really want the plastic to melt over the nut a bit. Without it catching on fire. I could have made those holes a little smaller. That nut maybe didn't have to be quite so hot. See how it is when it cools. Because I just want it to be encapsulated in there. So I'm kind of peening over the plastic that's there. Yeah, I should have went in from this side with the Forstner bit so that when you screw it in, it tends to draw the nut in. This is going to try to draw the nut off of here. I should have went in the, this is the outboard side and that's the inboard side. I should have put the larger hole here and put the nut in there. Yeah, well, hindsight, eh? 2020. We'll see. We'll see how good that nut stays in there. You know what? Maybe I still could draw it in from that side. Yeah, that's what I'll try. But I'll use one that's cold. Okay, attempt Bravo. Ooh, that's hot. Who knew? It's got a nice hex shape, but it's not hot enough yet. It's on fire, that's good. Oh! Good thing I made it extra, huh? I could just melt some more plastic in there too, eh? Not the end of the world. Well, let's let that cool off and see what happens. All right, let's try it again. And pull. Just want to get it, yeah, there, just past that point, and then I can start peening over some of this plastic. Doesn't look too bad in there. Okay, so despite all of my boo-boos and putting the countersink on the wrong side, I think that this is going to work. They thread on nicely. The threads are all clean. I can't. I can't. Come on, you mother. Okay, so I mean that's not coming out, and that's the same for all of them. Okay, they're embedded in there pretty good. Is there a better way of doing it? Sure, but you know, hey, we're here to learn. You learn from my mistakes. If you got another comment or it's a better way of doing it, don't hesitate to pipe up down below in the nether regions. Two things I want left to do. I want to make it. I want to make them like a flower petally. Like I don't want to leave them just round like this. So I'm gonna mask the tape of them off and then cut it on a bandsaw, and then I want to try to heat treat them. They're not very schmoot. They're anti-schmoot. So I want to smooth them out, maybe with the heat gun, and just try to melt some of the. There's like a lot of fur on them. They didn't. These ones are pretty smooth. There's still a bit of fur on them too. You know, little things that are sticking up and things like that. They can all be just smoothed out, I think, with a little bit of heat. And again, if they distort a little bit, not so much the end of the world. Okay, so I'm going to mask them off and get ready to cut the shape out on the bandsaw. Alright, let's see how this goes. Well, that's what I was going for. It's a nice little knob. Alright, I'm going to do the rest, and then I'm going to smooth them all out with some other machine. And we'll go do the rest. And a little bit of sanding. Alright, I'll let those cool and do the other side. Okay, what did we learn? Slower heating. I think I used the heat gun with this. It was so long ago. I'm gonna have to. You'll see because the video is at the beginning of me doing these ones. This was kind of more with a torch in the can. I should have melted the plastic coating off the can first to get it nice and clean. You need better melting so you don't get big holes in it. Like, look, there's a huge hole there. Okay. And I'm not a fan of the huge holes in this sort of thing. So better melting. So slow down. Keep your plastic consistent from if you're going through the project, and really mix it up well. Drill your holes in the proper spot. And just have fun. I had fun. Now, I wish I could show you where these are going. There's going to be 4. It's a plate like this with studs on it, and it's a wall. And basically, you put the wooden plate on there, and it hangs off the studs, and then you just put these on. So they're decorative. It's in a rural setting, so it's not like it's going to be, you know, on display at the Louvre or something like that. So, hey, I had fun. I learned something. I will be making definitely more things out of plastic. I've got a whole bunch of leftover plastic, you know, from the band sawing and the machining. Have fun. Be safe. For God's sakes, don't get any on you. That'd be hot. See you next time.